he looked or his race? And was there any pressure at all that G.I. Joe had to be white or look a certain way? And was there any self-referencing?
No, you have to understand that, like, I didn't design the look of the characters, okay? There was a sculptor designer at Hasbro named Ron Rudat. He designed all the outfits and everything. They would send me a drawing, before I even went into the, the maquette stage. And, I mean, the first year there were 10 of them, and they were just labeled infantry guy, mortar guy, commando, right? The commando was a money-saving idea because they thought, well, if we make one of the figures just black plastic and there's no paint, it's just solid black, we save 50% of the cost.
I never knew that's why.
That's why. Yeah, so I had to take these lumps, and give them a name and figure out a background for them, and in 10 characters, I mean, that was more characters than the Avengers had, and I noticed that everybody at Marvel was always complaining about working on the group books, because you had to memorize all these outfits, and there'd be, in each panel you'd have to draw 6 or 7 characters or something. It was like everybody just wanted to. The dream book is like Moon Knight. He's like completely white. There's no, people don't understand the viewpoint of the people that actually have to do it, Like, Spider-Man is a bitch to draw. He's got, all these webs, and they have to be drawn to contour his body. And the thing is, nobody, and I swear this is true, nobody can remember which way the web things curve. Right? You have to, everybody has to look it up because your mind blanks it out, So I thought, oh my God, it's 10 characters to begin with, and then they're going to add 10 more. I mean, how am I going to keep track of this? That's why I came up with these file cards. I did these dossiers on each character, so that I could keep track of who they were. And I had them out on my desk, and the guys from Hasbro came over, and they said, oh, wow, this is really cool. We should put this on the back of the package, And that's how it started. And that sort of became the industry standard, that you couldn't do an action figure without having a file card on the back. But that was all like an accidental thing of this guy walking past my desk and seeing my dossiers out there. A lot of the things happen like that,
So the characters, you drew them on experience or just imaginary?
Almost every single character is based on somebody I know. Yeah, because it was my way of keeping track and not and keeping them consistent. If I based a character on my cousin Randy, if he wasn't speaking like him, then it would ring a bell. And it was really easy to maintain a genuine consistency, throughout the whole thing. And it also really helped in the writing because you get to a point in the story where there's a conflict, and then part of your writer mind says, okay, I'm doing choreography. I'm making these characters march along these paths to this conclusion. So your job is to get them to the last page, and that's where it all can go wrong, because it's very easy like violate the character, just to make it get to that point, you know. But I've gotten to that point so many times, and I said, you know, Randy wouldn't do that. And all of a sudden, I'm having to change the entire thing that I had mapped out, because I got to that point and realized that it didn't make any sense. But I think that if you want to be true about the writing, you have to be able to make that choice, you know. Those choices that you make, they pertain to everything, you know, to music, to acting, you know, everything I've ever done. Did I answer the question? Okay.
Can I ask a follow-up question? I mean, I grew up playing with G.I. Joe, and the other two toys at the time were Star Wars and He-Man. And even as a kid, I did recognize how much more sort of like culturally and ethnically diverse the G.I. Joe toys were. Like every wave had at least one black person, a woman, and a couple other minorities, like a Native American or a Hispanic. Was that, and it was very distinct from like Stars, which had Randolph Calrissian and that fake Bespin guard that slapped on there. For some reason, Star Wars so white, hashtag. Was that like a conscious decision by Marvel and Hasbro to be more ethnically diverse?
Yes, it was a decision by Hasbro, and I tried to reinforce it, you know, by saying, by not delegating those characters to, you know, really minor roles. You know, I brought Storm Shadow and Stalker right up to the front, you know, and they're two of the most important characters, aside from Scarlet and Duke, let's say. And the other thing that I tried to do was I had a map of the United States, and I'd stuck pins in it, and I would make sure that the hometowns of all the Joes were really like, I tried to hit every state. And, you know, I had a real plan, you know, but I was also like naming the characters, you know, the file names after people I knew, you know. And one day, and I think the third or fourth year, the Hasbro people figured out that I was naming the characters after people I knew. And they said, well, how could, you know, he shouldn't be able to get away with that. We should change the names of people we know, like us. You know? So that one year, all the Joes came from Pawtucket, Rhode Island. You know, and I went up there and I said, wait a minute, you know, you guys are totally missing the point. You know, you can't have them all come from Pawtucket. You know, they're like, but that's where we live. That answer your question?
Tunnel ratism, where did that backstory come from? The Chinese Trinidadian from Brooklyn?
Well, you know, that's Charlie Chin.
Isn't Tunnel Rat the toy? Isn't the face?
Well, I used, I used Charlie Chin's background because, you know, I knew Charlie, and it was interesting background, you know. It wasn't, you know, run-of-the-mill. And when they did the sculpt of the figure, they hired this guy in Brooklyn who was the guy who did the holograms for the Visa cards. He did the little dove, you know. And holograms have to be the exact same size as what they're reproduced as. So that dove on that credit card is like that big, you know. So they figured, oh, he'd be a great guy to do the heads, you know. So they had him do, you know, sculpt all the heads one year, and they based all the heads on people at Hasbro, you know, and I got included. So the guy came to my office and he took Polaroids and he, you know. But the thing is, you know, on a head that small, you know, after like 5 generations of like, you know, going through the molding process, it still looks like a lump, you know. But it was an Asian lump at least.